So anyhow, it's a big geographic district, so it's fair to move around. Okay, so we will go on here with the Josh and Gloria show. Do the two of you prefer to like present one after the other, or do you want to
either way? I can go first, or you can go first.
No, he can go first.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll give each of you up to 10 minutes if, well, you don't have to take all the time.
So hi everyone, I was a Bernie delegate to the National Convention in Philadelphia. I'm here to tell you about what I experienced. I want to check how many people here were Bernie supporters? How many were Hillary supporters? Okay, good. So I have a few stories that you might not have heard about. I have a trigger warning. If you've been a diehard Hillary supporter, you might not like everything you hear, but bear with me, because I promise I'm not here to complain. I'll take any questions, criticisms. We're all going to leave the room friends. Promise. So Washington did have the largest plurality of Sanders pledged delegates of any state. 47 delegate edge. We had 74 Sanders delegates and 27 pledged Clinton delegates. After we were chosen, we all started to work together on May 21st. We had daily meetings at the state convention in Tacoma. We met again in Ellensburg to just meet and greet and get more familiar with each other. We talked on Facebook. We broke up into teams. So one team did communication options. For instance, what happens in the convention if you need to talk to each other and the Wi-Fi goes down and then the cell service goes down. Another group reached out to all the states, so we ended up with contacts with most of the 1,800 Sanders delegates who were there. I was on a media relations group, so what we did was we wrote press releases, we got people to various interviews in front of microphones and cameras. I started out and did a lot of contribution to a set of talking points that we ended up sharing with basically all the Sanders delegates who were in the arena. So for instance, someone sticks a mic in your face, and we had a lot of young kids there. Someone says, will you be voting for Donald Trump once Bernie loses? We were able to say, of course not. We're here to support Senator Sanders because we feel he's the best candidate. Just things like that, so people had things memorized so they wouldn't look stupid in front of cameras. It became real valuable at the convention because, frankly, Bernie's campaign kind of disbanded and left us mostly to our own devices once we were there. So we had to kind of feel around and figure out what we were doing a lot of the time while we were at the convention. Some people were talking about, oh, we're going to go in, we're going to have a contested convention, everything's going to change, and all the super delegates are going to, be magically on our side. But by June, we pretty much knew what the story was, and we decided to make sure that we got issues that might not have been talked about heard and covered in Philadelphia. One thing that didn't help was, the weekend before the convention, all of a sudden these WikiLeaks come out talking about the DNC, confirmed some of the stuff that we suspected, that Wasserman Schultz didn't have her thumb on the scale, she kind of had her whole forearm on the scale. But anyway, we were already all a bit on edge when we went in, but we got to the convention on Sunday. We shared a hotel with Massachusetts, and one excellent thing about Jackson Ravens, who is our state party chair, is that each state party negotiates its own hotel rates. So we were paying, I think, $329 a night for a room. Massachusetts, in the same hotel, was paying $450 a night. So thank you to Jackson. California was on the hook for $750 a night. 5 a night required, multiplied by all the delegates, and we think the money went to their state parties, but Jackson pretty much kept us to the Expedia rate, which was nice. Anyway, the Washington Democrats went out of their way to make this a good experience for everyone who was there. We had a social dinner cruise before the convention. Governor Inslee was on the cruise. Senator Ed Markey from Massachusetts was on the cruise. Most of the other delegations didn't do anything this cool. We gave back to the community that we suckered into hosting us as well. So bunch of delegates worked on a mural for the community, and Gloria was there. She can tell people about that. I kind of sapped out that morning, but we also had a sock drive. People donate clothing to the needy. They usually don't get socks, so we collected over 550 pairs of socks to donate to the needy around Philadelphia. Jessica Beckett, who's not here tonight, handed out supplies like soap and shampoo to some of the homeless residents near the hotel. So basically, you know, we do what Democrats do, which is go and try to help other people. So we got back on Sunday. The Massachusetts Bernie people invited me to hang out at their meeting. They had a union rep there, and he told us about an anti-TPP protest that was planned for Monday. The plan was start a no TPP chant, hold up signs when they started the platform report. And it was planned, it was a meeting with the unions for Bernie and the unions for Hillary people kind of talking about this together. So we went to the convention on Monday with these folded up signs, which I can show you, waiting for them to talk about the platforms. Anyway, Monday, you know, we all had to get up. Convention's pretty hard work. You have to be up at 7:30 a.m. at a breakfast every day. You have to pick up your daily credentials, which look like this, and they have like little barcodes and shiny things on them, and they're different every day. And if you lose these, you're just hosed. We got breakfast speeches from famous politicians. Some nights we wouldn't be back until after midnight. A lot of people went out to parties afterwards. I'm just an old guy, so I pretty much crashed around midnight. It was the most miserable weather in history, and I don't think that people who've lived out here their whole life really understand what it feels like when it's 98 degrees and humid on the East Coast. It's like camping out in Satan's butt crack. It's the worst thing you can imagine. So I moved from the East Coast to Washington to avoid this, right? So on Monday, people were fainting, waiting for buses. Buses didn't show up. Some of the buses got lost. 4 of our Washington delegates actually just dropped down with heat exhaustion. A couple of them needed IVs. It was pretty rough. So we got to the arena. One of the first speakers was Elijah Cummings. He was giving his speech, and then he mentioned the platform. And that triggered the no TPP protest right there. You may have seen it on TV. It was loud, went on for a long time, got attention, and it also upset a lot of people. But I will get back to that in a minute. All week, the theme was how scary Trump was. So a lot of people just telling us how scary he was. I would have liked to hear more about, here are all the good things that Democrats do.
Yes.
That was my biggest thing with the convention. But Bernie had about 45% of the delegates. You wouldn't know it from going to the gift shop. The gift shop was full of Hillary stuff, and they had a single picture that looked like this hideous caricature of Bernie. That was the only thing that you could get in the entire gift shop. So, would have liked to have seen more than, you know, one shirt there as well. So we got to see Bernie speak twice on Monday, and you know, a lot of us were still grieving about the fact that Bernie was not in there anymore. We knew what we were watching at that point. During the speech, there were a couple hundred Clinton delegates just kind of left the arena through my sight lines for whatever reason. Tuesday, the highlight breakfast speaker was Jerry Springer, who's a Democratic activist. He left us with some words of wisdom, which is kids, you know, stay in school, don't end up on my show. The Wall Street Journal was looking to do a story about how out of control Bernie people were. Our media people kind of figured out it was coming, so they sat me down for an interview instead because I'm just like an old guy who doesn't say controversial stuff when I'm sitting there. So the Wall Street Journal got bored and they did a story kind of with video of me and a couple other people. However, the union delegate who had headed the TPP protest on Monday was able to get a meeting with Elijah Cummings to explain the protest, why he was interrupted, and actually apologized and cleared the air with him. And Representative Cummings just incredibly gracious about the whole thing. He already told about the importance of not just sitting down if the cause is just, and understood what was going on. We had other incidents. So we had a big 12th man sign. Security came and removed the sign and the sign holder and said, if you bring any more signs in here, you are getting booted out. That was only sometimes enforced during the week. There were regular security, there was ICE for some reason, immigrations people, and then there were people who said they were Secret Service, but normally Secret Service is not going to be worried about a sign, so who knows what was going on there. Anyway, another big issue was ADA access. The DNC did not plan properly for it. They put security fencing that kind of blocked cutout ramps. They had extended waits for some of the wheelchair-capable buses. We got into the attention of NBC Philadelphia, and they did a story on it. It's a top issue that Washington Democrats are taking back to the DNC to say this has to be better next time. Yes?
It's been 20 minutes, we're just doing
20 minutes already?
Yeah, because you're each doing 10 minutes. So
Okay.
just check
Oh, I'm
it.
sorry. Okay.
It's fascinating though.
It is, it actually
So-
is. Just do it a time check.
So anyway, I can skip to the end. I can skip to the end and talk about more stuff later. So the bottom line is here that Clinton and Sanders delegates were kind of upset at each other during the national convention. I don't know how much of that got picked up. They were upset at each other at the state and the national. The Sanders delegates felt that they were sidelined. Some of them feel further away from Hillary than they did before the convention, and that hopefully was not the goal of the convention. And we have to get past this, the sooner the better. And here's my advice for this. Don't relitigate the presidential issue. Hillary people are not going to convince Bernie people that they're being ridiculous. Bernie people are not going to convince Hillary people that they're neoliberals. So we just all need to let that part drop. In Philadelphia, some Sanders people were talking about Dem exit, leaving the party, and we countered them with Dem enter. If you don't like how things are going, get involved, change things, bring a friend. The moment you say you're leaving and never coming back, no one feels they have to listen to you again. We need to reach out and include our Hillary friends who are the minority in Washington. We all want the same thing in the end. We want the state legislature. We should be looking for unity through inclusion, not through exclusion of each other. And the three most important words out of the mouths of everyone in this room, what should they be? They should be Mark, Jason, Darcy, until the end of November.
Prime time when Hillary makes her speech, okay, there was a bunch of Republicans that came and spoke, and they said things that might not be popular with Democratic activists. They kind of go out and tell everybody to be quiet and be courteous to them, and they kind of drown out a lot of things. And it was the same like the Republicans.
No, the Republicans
They
speech.
were very.
They didn't necessarily tell us, be really nice, we have Republican guests in the room. We did get a text saying Hillary's going to talk about Sanders and the delegates and what's happening in the first 3 minutes of her speech, and then you can decide what to do. So we hung out for a while. Some people stayed, and some people left after that. And they had a lot of seat fillers who would come in, which is how we saw the ratio go from like 24 to 18 to like 10 to 1 in the hall during the week. Anyway, I will be around for questions. I'm sorry I've taken so long.
That was great.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to give the floor next to Gloria. So, Gloria.